What's up, guys? Welcome to Bleav in Rams. Erin Coscarelli here, part of the Bleav Network. We've got a crazy show for you today. Monday Night Football recap. Not the way Sean McVay and company wanted things to go, but before we get into it, you know what to do. Subscribe. We need you to comment. We're reading your comments. We're answering your questions. We enjoy engagement with the listeners. Also, rate us. Give us a 5-star if you find yourself with some free time. Follow this podcast. You can catch us on Bleav TV. Follow us on all the socials. My guy, Tyler Dragon of USA Today. I'm going to ask you how you're doing, but first we've got a couple ad reads. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, Tyler.
With the largest selection of odds in everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment and political props. Head to BetOnline today to get in on all the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Yeah, and if you bet the Rams game, they were, I think they were favored by 1. We'll get into it in a moment. But first, Tyler, Melon is not your average hat. They make the most premium, durable headwear in the game. Whether you're tailgating, working out, you're on the golf course, or you're heading out for a date, Melon lasts 5 times longer than any other hat. In fact, I got mine a few months ago. They do have some different options for different weather. It's getting colder now. But if you're jumping in a pool, a lake, an ocean, you can get the Hydro Collection. When it gets cold and you need to stay warm, what do they have, Ty?
I'm going to have to get one. They have a full thermal collection with different levels of warmth to keep you on the go this winter. It gets kind of chilly in LA. It does rain sometimes in
It
Southern
does.
California.
It's true.
If you're looking for the world's most durable hat, look no further. Go to melon.com. That's MELIN.com and put it to the test yourself. I got to get one.
Yeah, you can put it in the washing machine. I mean, sometimes when I rock a hat, I get makeup on it, so it looks a little dingy.
Okay.
Um, but we've got bigger problems than a makeup-filled cap at the moment, Tyler. We're here, Erin Coscarelli, Tyler Dragon back with you. It is a Week 10 Monday Night Football recap. The Rams take a 23-15 L against the Dolphins. We were both at the game.
Mhm.
It was a star-studded affair. Aaron Donald was there. LeBron James was there. Unfortunately, all the star power in the world couldn't get that offense in LA figured out. You've got to be frustrated if you're Sean McVay today. What was your initial reaction? I mean, for me, it felt like just a gut punch. And I know I came on the airwaves today saying I was feeling a little bit low. I had to also get my blood drawn, like just to check my yearly. But I'm not sure. What was your reaction with the way the game ended?
A blown opportunity,
Yeah.
mistakes, 6 penalties in the game, 2 turnovers, an interception, a fumble, and just a lack of execution on third down. They went 3 for 12 on third down. Um, Getting on the Miami side of the field and just collapsing all the time. I mean, I was looking, they were in Miami side of the field 7 times in that loss and came up with 5 field goals, 0 touchdowns. Red zone offense, 0 for 3 in the red zone. It was just, they would just fall apart every time they would get on Miami's side of the field. And credit to the Dolphins. I was in the Dolphins locker room and they were talking about how their backs were against the wall in this game. They treated it like a must-win game. They were the desperate team and they played like it. I mean, they have 0 margin for error. That's what Calais Campbell said. And they played like the hungrier and desperate team with their season on the line. For the Rams, you got to win winnable games.
Yeah.
That Monday night game was a winnable game. And for them, now they have to go back to the drawing board. Luckily for them, they have the New England Patriots coming up next. New England is a rebuilding team. They're not too good, but they're going to have their work cut out for them because now the San Francisco 49ers, and I know we'll probably talk about this at the end of the podcast, but they're getting healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cardinals are looking like a legitimate contender in the NFC West. So the Rams had their work cut out for them.
Yeah, I mean, they really, it wasn't necessarily a must-win game like it was for the Dolphins to keep their postseason
Mm-hmm.
alive, but with the other teams in the division in the NFC West getting a win, it put that much more pressure on the Rams because it's no one's
Mm-hmm.
really run away with it.
Yeah.
It's still sort of a neck and neck, but that's why these like winnable games that you said, Chicago, the Dolphins coming all the way from the East Coast, you guys, it's not easy to travel to the West Coast. Um, but the Rams had an extra day.
Yeah.
It just felt like I was confused for the majority of the game. I couldn't figure out really what was going on. That the Rams never had a lead, and I
Mm-hmm.
did say this on Instagram. I did a little post, the top 4 reasons why you can't miss Monday Night Football. And I said, don't be fooled that this team is a 2-win team because the Dolphins with Tua in the lineup is a different Dolphins team when he's not. Right? Don't you think?
100%. The Dolphins were a team that a lot of people picked to win the AFC East before he got injured with a concussion in week 2. We all know what happened to Miami when he missed those 4 games in IR. They went into a tailspin, and this was probably his best game since returning from a concussion. Obviously, his first win. But yeah, they're a much different team, and they play with a confidence, a hunger, and a desperation, and really the Rams couldn't match it. The very first possession of the game the Dolphins had, they went right down the field, I Bleav, in 5 plays and scored a touchdown. And it seems like from that point forward, the Rams were just trying to play catch up
Mm-hmm.
and could not recover the entire game. And it was just miscues, interception, fumble, penalties that stalled drives, and the pressure of Matthew Stafford too. I thought that was surprising, given the Dolphins really don't have a vaunted pass rush, and LA's offensive line was getting healthier. I know their first game back for a couple people, but still, you would think the Rams would put up a better performance overall.
Yeah, it did. It didn't seem like a Sean McVay led team. The Rams never had a lead. They played sloppy, like you said, miscues, botched snaps,
Mhm.
fumbles, sacks in huge
Yeah,
moments. And the leading scorer on the day for the Rams, drumroll please, kicker Josh Carty.
you never
Five
want that to happen.
field goals, no touchdowns, like you said. I think this is the first game, no touchdowns all season. And I think for me, it felt uncharacteristic because we had everything dialed in to get us a win.
Mhm.
I asked my former colleague Brian Baldinger, who I had on last week. I asked him, what happened from your perspective? And he just said the Rams offensive line just couldn't put it together. And you mentioned Avila, Jonah Jackson coming back and replacing the two guys, Dedich and what's the other one? He's great. I'll look it
Hold
up.
on, hold on, hold
Um,
on.
Bo Limmer,
Yes.
who also had, I think, a false start at a crucial time.
Hmm.
So, I think the question in your estimation, and I think a lot of people, one of the things McVay said post game was continuity. That was something he was hitting on after the game, and it just seemed like, from your perspective, the offensive line just never seemed to give Stafford time in the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's happened very early on. Like you said, Jonah Jackson looked a little bit rusty, and all the offensive line didn't play well though. So I just don't want to single out
Mm,
Jonah Jackson and Avila and the O line, but it really came down to just lack of execution and just
mhm.
the mental unforced errors, the false starts. There was a false start on a field goal attempt. And we saw what happened. They missed the field goal on the second try. The botched snap, which got them out of field goal range. The 0 for 3 in the red zone.
Mhm.
And then just a terrible third down offense.
Yeah.
A lot of that is attributed to pressure and Matt Stafford. But if you were to look at the box score, just saw 3 for 12 on third down
Mhm.
and 0 for 3 in the red zone, most 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose that game.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins really, they didn't play that well either. They had turnovers. Tua had a terrible interception. I Bleav he had a fumble too. Tyreek Hill didn't have a stellar game.
No, yeah, that was the thing. The defense
Yeah,
kept him largely in check. And
yeah,
that's what's frustrating is, it seemed to be, just stagnant when it came to the offense. And remember, guys, too, I don't think that offensive line the last 2 games allowed a sack. I wanna
yeah.
say I think I remembered mentioning that Stafford was sacked 1 time since the bye, which is says a lot because heading into this game,
Mm-hmm,
they've shifted that offensive line 6 different times this season.
mm-hmm.
And it just goes to show when there's not, as he said, continuity or consistency or comfortability. McVay said a lot of things with respect to the offensive line were not in alignment with what we're looking for. And it
Yeah.
showed.
Yeah, Stafford was sacked 4 times. I Bleav he was hit like 6 plus times last night. Seems like he was just uncomfortable, and I was surprised the games that Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup had too. They had relatively quiet games for their standard. I was thinking with them both on the field, that was going to be a mismatch problem for the Dolphins. But you got to credit Jalen Ramsey and the Dolphins, especially their
Mhm.
secondary, they held up pretty well. And that Miami pass rush, they were better than I expected. They won the night against the Rams O line, which was surprising, but pretty much the story of the game right there. The
Yeah.
Rams really is on Tuesday. They're going to have a tough time watching that film because they did not play up to
Mhm.
their level that we all expect them to play in their capabilities. So they have to go back to the drawing board, look themselves in the mirror when they watch the film, and hopefully have a better performance in week 11.
Let's talk about, what the drawing board might look like, but before we get there, you obviously write for USA Today. Did you have a title for your article that you wrote? And what was it called if you did?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So it was about Tua coming back from his concussion. This was actually their first win since
Mm.
he came back from his concussion, and it's really how the Miami Dolphins are a confident team, as we just discussed. With him back in the lineup, and they're going to try to make a playoff push. They are still relatively in it in the AFC. When you look at the whole AFC playoff picture, the Denver Broncos are the seventh and final wild card seed. And they're 5-5. The Dolphins are 3-6, so they're right there. Even though that they had a slow start, they're right there to make a playoff push. They probably don't have too much ground to catch the Buffalo Bills and the AFC East, but they can definitely still get a wild card slot.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the same position the Rams are in, as far as the NFC West is concerned. I wanna ask you about that, but before that, what does the drawing board look like now? If you're Sean McVay, what teams get Tuesday off or maybe yeah, they probably have today off. Um, so when they come back into the facility, what's on that drawing board in your opinion?
Well, I would first of all try to clean up the mental mistakes, the offsides, the false starts, all those errors that are fixable. I would definitely hone in on that because those are unforced errors and those are drive killers. And that happened too many times last night. You want to make sure you clean up the snap, Matthew Stafford, and that snap,
Mhm.
the exchange right there. You don't want to have those mental errors. And then red zone day, which is
Mhm.
usually on a Thursday or Friday for teams, I'm really working on red zone day because I want to be more efficient in the red zone. And really, red zone day also is a combination of third down, too. Those are
Mhm.
two areas where the Rams struggled. And so usually that's on a Thursday or Friday, depending on the team. Usually put your install in on Wednesday. Then on Thursday and Friday, you kind of key in on specific points in the game and just specific areas. So yeah, third down offense and red zone. Those are two areas I want to work on top of just being mistake free and limit the mental mistakes.
And it'll be interesting to see what that offensive line is gonna look like too this week.
Hmm.
Don't you think what Sean McVay may decide, in terms of who he's gonna go with? Just kind of feeling like the two guys, Avila and Jackson, seemed there was some rust there or
Yes.
some timing issues, that clearly made an impact. And that's why, guys, they say the game is won in the trenches. They
Hmm.
set the tempo, and it felt like that's what we saw. Um, well, when it comes to who's on deck, the good news is hopefully a bounce back game. I pulled up the Rams schedule, which by the way, they're third in the NFC West.
Hmm.
Um, the Seahawks had a bye last week, but the Niners and the Cards both won. The Cards definitely put on a clinic against the
Yeah.
Jets. And, now they've got the Patriots. Then they have the Eagles at home. And then they've got the Saints, a Bills game. And then they've got, the Niners.
Hmm.
So for you, uh, how do you see this sort of get back into that win column so that the Rams can be 500 against New England, because they have to go to New England. It's a 10 a.m. start, which is an early game for them. Uh, what do you think that the importance of that game is, and how do you see it shaping up?
Yeah, it's very important because you have to win the winnable games. Now, this game is a little bit more difficult and challenging mentally because, like you said, they have to travel all the way to the East Coast, probably a 5.5 to 6 hour flight to get to New England. You have to deal with the time difference. It's going to be a 10 a.m. kickoff here on the West Coast, 1 p.m. in New England. And the Patriots, although they are a bad football team, they still play pretty hard. And they have won some games unexpectedly, come up with some upsets, and they're going to run the football with Stevens, and they're going to try to play stout defense. Um, I like the young quarterback that they have, but the Rams are a better football team. They have more talent on offense and defense, and you have to go out there and execute, try to play mistake free football, win the turnover battle, which they did not on Monday night, and you should come out there with a win.
Hmm.
If you don't win, we're going to have another doom and gloom podcast
And a
because
panic button.
schedule,
We're hitting that
yeah,
panic button soon.
yeah, because the schedule does not get any easier once the Rams leave New England.
Yeah, and
The
yeah, and here's the good
schedule
news.
becomes
The good
down.
news. The good news is hopefully, despite all of those issues, like going to the East Coast, playing a little bit earlier, this could be a get back
Hmm.
game, in the sense that we saw that with the Raiders, and then they went on a 3 game win streak.
Hmm.
It's just unfortunate, like you mentioned, these are sort of the winnable games that gets you a little bit closer to edge out in the NFC wild card race. That just puts you behind. And I think I read somewhere, I want to say the Rams have a 10% chance of making the playoffs after that loss last night, Monday Night Football. So it doesn't mean it's impossible. And I'm a big believer in all things hope, and being optimistic, but
Hmm.
they've got some things to figure out. And this game, the defense was not the issue. It was
Hmm.
Matthew Stafford and company, 14 incompletions on 46 total passes. Um, I mean, did you like what you saw out of Kyren? He didn't score a touchdown for the second straight game. And we're not really seeing a lot of action from Blake Corum. I'm not sure why. But
Hmm.
what was your take on our running performance?
Really, the Dolphins took the running, game out of the game plan for LA, and that's because that they were playing with the lead the whole time, and the Rams were playing catch up. So Kyren Williams, he had that fumble I did not like that as a running back. You cannot fumble the football. That's inexcusable. He knows better. But overall, the Dolphins did a good job, one, of limiting him, but two, playing with the lead so the Rams could not really establish a running game. When you're down two scores almost the entire game, you're playing catch up, you're trying to throw the football. You can't run the ball because the clock is not your friend, it's your enemy. So Kyren, I do Bleav that this Sunday against the Patriots, the Rams are going to try to
Mm.
establish a run against a New England defense that is not very good. They're going to play hard, but they're not very good. And New England secondary is probably better than their front seven. So I do Bleav the Rams have some advantages if they establish the run and be kind of a run oriented team and then use that to build the play action pass.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and I thought this was a low scoring affair considering I was really expecting it to be more of a shootout, 23-15 in LA. But we'll see. Tip my cap to Mike McDaniel and Tua. They were just the better team on Monday night, and you got to have a short term memory in this league. And I think the Rams are going to look to it's on to New England for Sean McVay and Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford, and hopefully they can fix some of those issues that they seem to struggle with last night. But it was bummed I didn't get to see you. I was running around the stadium, but we'll have to do it again. And as always, it's always good to see you. How can people find you on X, Tyler?
I always say Twitter. I'm glad you said
Do you
X because
still
I
say
always
Twitter?
mistake it.
I'm
I still say
confused, but yeah.
it is X. No, you're right. You're right. But they can find me at the Tyler Dragon on X. I
Mhm.
still have a problem saying that, but yeah, they can find me there. You can read all my latest work, see this podcast that I'll retweet and as well. So yeah, you can find me there.
I feel like X just doesn't have the same, ring to it like Twitter does,
It
So
doesn't.
it doesn't. It's too short. I need to have like two syllables or something. But
Bring Twitter back and
hashtag
the original owners too, but that's another story.
Hashtag bring Twitter back. All right. Well, that'll do it for us. Please, as always, we'd love for you to subscribe, share, rate, comment, do all the things. I'm Erin Coscarelli on X as well as Instagram. So please follow us. Ask us all the questions. Share with us your thoughts. A bummer game for LA at home, but they're going to look to get right back in that win column next week, week 11, against the New England Patriots. That'll do it for us here at Bleav in Rams. Thanks again, guys.